Okay, here we go with factoring by grouping. And so when we factor by grouping, you first check, is there a common factor for all four terms? And you can see that in this first example, I do not have a common factor between the four terms. So what we do is we group them, the first two terms together and the third and fourth term together, and then we find a common factor for the pair, right? So for AB plus 2A, I have a common factor of A, and then that will leave me B plus 2. On the second pair, my common factor is 5, and that leaves me B plus 2. Now it's important when you're factoring by grouping that your parentheses end up with the same binomial, right? If that happens, then that's good. That's what you want. And so then I've shown you already how to factor out my common factor, my common binomial factor of B plus 2. And then I have an A plus B for, right? The A, once I took out the B plus 2, I have an A, and I take out the other, and I factored out that B. You just take it out one time. You don't take it out twice. But when you've removed your common binomial, then you're left with the A plus the 5. That's what I'm trying to say. Anyway, I didn't do a very good job of saying that, though, I don't think. Okay, so let's go to this next one. Once again, we're going to split this. Oh, always double check. Do I have a common factor between the four terms? We don't, right? So we're going to group them, and that's why it's called factoring by grouping. And so when we group them, notice that we have a common factor of B for the first two terms. So my binomial then is C plus 8. I have notice this negative. This is important right here. When this is negative, that sign has to be negative, and you guys don't leave this out. I see students factoring and they leave the plus, like this plus sign, they leave it out, or this minus sign, they leave it out, and to me that's confusing, and a lot of times to them it's confusing because then they're not sure what to do from there. So we're factoring out a negative. If I factor out negative 3, let me write a 3, that would be good. Then I'm left with C plus 8, right? Because negative 24 divided by negative 3 is a positive 8. So if you start getting your signs messed up here, just go back and double check what you did. So we have C plus 8 for my common binomial, which leaves me with B minus 3 for my second binomial. Okay, so remember, factoring by grouping. First of all, we make groups. I like drawing this dotted line here so that you can see your two groups. I don't like you putting parentheses in yet because, once again, I feel like that can be confusing, and down the road I don't want you to be confused about this. So we split them with the dotted line, okay, into the two pair. These four terms did not have anything in common to begin with, and so in my group here, the 12xy minus 18x, my common coefficient, or my common number, right, numerical number is going to be a 6. And then I'm going to take out an x, right, because they have an x in common. And so this leaves me with 2y minus 3. Okay. On the next one, remember this minus sign means I have to have subtraction right here. And I'm taking out a negative. So I'm taking out negative 5. And that leaves me with a positive 2y, because a negative divided by a negative is a positive. And minus 3, because 15 divided by negative 5 is negative 3. So my common binomial is the 2y minus 3. And then my second binomial will be the 6x minus 5. Now, one of the questions I get from students is, do I have to write it in this order? And you don't, right? I write it in this order because we are factoring out a common binomial, so I put that first. But if you write this as 6x minus 5 times 2y minus 3, it means the same thing, because remember, multiplication can be done in either order, right? I can take 2 times 3 or 3 times 2 and I get the same number 6. Okay, next. Okay, I don't know if you saw that, but I've been making videos for a while today, and I was running out of battery, so I had to stop and plug this thing in. Alright, so let's factor this next one. Notice we don't have any common factor between the 4 terms, so we're going to group them. For my first 2 terms, I have a common factor of 5x, so that leaves me with 4y minus 3, right? I'm dividing both terms by the 5x. On the next one, I'm going to have a minus here because anytime that sign's minus, this one will be 2. And all I can take out this time is negative 1, right? Because 4y and 3 don't have anything in common except for 1. And so that will be 4y minus 3. It basically changes both signs when I factor out the negative 1. And then my common binomial is 4y minus 3, and my second binomial is 5x minus 1. And then we have it factored, right? That is it. And you guys, this is leading to a method of factoring, which this book calls grouping. I call it the AC method, that because of how you do that, you have to have this concept down to get to that. Okay, so let's look at these. Notice I don't have anything in common between my 4 terms. I'm going to split these and factor out the common factor for each pair. On the first 2, my common factor is y, and then that leaves me with x plus 4. On the second 2, it's going to be a negative, in this case negative 3, and that leaves me x plus 4. So I have an x plus 4 in common. That's my common binomial. And y minus 3 will be my second binomial because that's what's left when I factor out the x plus 4. Okay, next one. So if you look through all these terms, you might think, hey, there might be a common factor, so double check, right? But you can see that that doesn't actually happen. The first 3 terms have something in common, but then the last term doesn't have the coefficient in common or anything, so we have to group again. So for the first 2 terms, my common factor would be a 3x, and that leaves me with x plus 4. And then for my second group, my common factor is 4y, and then I'm left with x plus 4 once I divide both terms by 4y. It's always good when your parentheses are the same, and if not, then you need to just double check and make sure that you didn't make a mistake. X plus 4 times 3x plus 4y, because that's what's left over once I have factored out my x plus 4. Alright, and then the next 2, this is it for this section, right? Okay, so we're going to split these into 2 groups. And on my first group here, my common factor will be an 8a. I'm left with 2b minus 1. My common factor for the next pair would be negative 3. And that leaves me a 2b minus 1. So my common binomial is 2b minus 1. And my other binomial is 8a minus 3. Okay, so last, we've got one more. And I know this is a lot of repetition. It's meant to be that way. So, you know, if I was teaching this in class, I would be pausing. I would give them the question. I would wait. I would check their answers and then show them the work. For you guys, you just need to pause, right? Pause the video. In class, I'm just pausing and waiting, right? That's what's happening. Pause the video, try these on your own, and then check your work. All right, you should be doing that as you practice. Well, I thought I had this plugged in and I apparently didn't, so I hope that this works. We'll see. So we're going to split this one and factor out the common factor, which in this case would be 2x. So that leaves me with a 2x plus a y, all right, because I took out the 2x on the 2xy. I have a negative 5 as my common factor here, so that leaves me with a positive 2x plus y. My common binomial then is one of my factors of 2x plus y, and then my second binomial is 2x minus 5. Alright, so that's the end of this lesson, and I'll be stopping the video now.